Hey, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me Thursday morning. Again, let's talk about why I'm here. I'm here to break down the market. I'm here to break down the news. I'm here to talk about certain stocks, not to pump certain stocks, but to tell you what I'm seeing in the flows, the algorithms, to look at the dark pool levels for the SPY, for the Qs, to let you know when we could possibly find support as we're going down, when we might reject as we're going up, because as you know, the market never goes straight up or straight down. So you're looking for entry points on the bottom of calls, entry points for the top of puts. You're looking for something to reject. You're looking for a confirmation on a 1 minute, a 3 minute, and a 5 minute chart. And then you know what your position is. On the way down, you're looking, saying, okay, well, support should be at this level. That would be a great time to exit my puts at the support level. As it's dropping, you're still holding, okay? So anyway, I wanted to come on. Yesterday, I mentioned that the Japanese market, the Nikkei, was off 2.36% ever since the U.S. got downgraded. Overnight, it went down another 1.3%. So that's what I'm really paying attention to. So I think our markets could go down a potential of 1%. Now, here's the counter to that point. The counter to that point is from Spot Gamma posted this. Now, you might be worried about the equity markets, but the SPY isn't. So today's SPX 0 days till expiration at the money straddle is only $25 IV of 21.8%. And if you look at tomorrow's number, it's 41.65 with an IV of only 18.2%. So that's telling you that volatility isn't assumed. The way we had a crazy day yesterday, looking at this post from him, looking at the IVs and the straddle range, it's telling me that the market's more stable than people actually think. Okay, so figure that one out. Now, if we talk about the psychology of the market, what are we likely to see? We're likely to see a dip and then rip. If that is the case, what I'm going to do, about 15 minutes into the market, I'm going to be looking at the GEX levels, GEX levels. Okay, that'll tell me where the pull is. Now, it's not always correct. Yesterday's GEX on the SPY was 453 towards the end of the day, telling you that the market makers had to buy or sell a certain amount of SPY shares, pushing the market up or pulling the market down. Now, it didn't work out yesterday, but 90% of the time, those magnetic levels work out. So again, I track them on the Qs. I track them on the SPY. Now, what do we have coming up today? We've got after hours earnings for Amazon and Apple. So I'm going to be paying attention to exactly what is said on the call, not specifically earnings, but more or less guidance, because there are some numbers and some earnings that came out, and I'll go over them today and what their potential stocks could do. All right, but first, 3.9 billion, almost 4 billion was reported on the SPY in the dark pool level at $450.12. Now, remember yesterday I mentioned the lower level, and I told you that there was a good chance we might see it yesterday at $450.06. That was a huge dark pool level. It has moved down. So I'm going to be talking about the dark pool levels at the same time. 3.5 billion was reported at the 456 level. So what was likely happening? Selling at 456, possibly buying back at 450. Now, you say to yourself, okay, if they're buying back at 450, why is the SPY down pre-market? Just because there's a dark pool level doesn't mean that it acts as 100% support. It's not like, okay, you can't go down to any more floors. You're just hitting the base and it's got to bounce higher. It's just telling you support levels or possible rejection levels. So the SPY yesterday did 92 million in volume. Now, I mentioned on days where there's not much volume, you're going to see 40 to 45 million during the summer. 60 million, still extremely light. 80 is more along the average of what we see when it's not summer. So the fact that we saw 92 million in volume yesterday, it's telling me it's shaking out all the loose hands, okay? Let's see what else we got going on. SPY. Talk about trades. Nope. Okay, let's go. Yeah, that was what I was seeing yesterday. Okay, so let's just talk about some stocks then. Okay, because a number of stocks had earnings and a number of stocks are shooting up, and you're saying to yourself, can they go higher? So you might want to add some of these to your watch list. Why? Because after a stock has earnings, generally the IV on those option plays goes down. Remember, there's anticipation of like an 8 or 10% move up or down. So you're paying a lot for those options before earnings. Once earnings happen, the market digests that and your IVs actually come down. So in the morning, they still might be relatively high. But if you're looking at certain companies, for example, Wayfair, was expected to have a loss of like 70 something cents per share, and they came in at 21 cents a share. So they are up 8%, I believe, pre-market. They were just up 4%. They shot up another 4%. Amazon has earnings after the bell today, so that is on my watch list. Apple right below. Starbucks had earnings 2 days ago. Again, was beaten up down to under $100 and then started spiking. So there's demand for Starbucks. And you're saying, well, the market sucks. The market's throwing up on itself. Understand, Starbucks yesterday went from 100, and earnings were 2 days ago, from 100 to $104. How do I know? Because I was looking at the Starbucks $105 calls to start yesterday morning, and they went as low as $8 before going up to a full 88 cents or $88. An 1,100% return. Now, I tried to pull the string at $10. I didn't get the buy. DoorDash had earnings. Number of deliveries increased significantly. So maybe DoorDash probably has some support. Warner Brothers Discovery, WBD, terrible numbers, terrible earnings. They lost subscribers. They were up 5%. Let me just see if they're still up 5%. No, they're back to exactly flat. Now they're actually red, 0.4%. So, yeah, I mean, Warner Brothers Discovery, that looked horrible. Robinhood had earnings. Robinhood lost another 1 million users since this time last year. Okay, now last year, remember, they got knocked out from 19 million to 11 million. They went from 11 million to 10 million users. At least that has kind of subsided a little. And Robinhood actually had profit. It was the first quarter ever Robinhood had profit. Does that mean I like Robinhood? No. Analysts hate it, down 5%. Now Warner Brothers Discovery is up 1.6%. So that's interesting. Again, that one's kind of like meme-ish play. Moderna had earnings. They looked like shit. Moderna was up 5% pre-market. Now it's only up 1%. Melly up 5%. Qualcomm, okay? Qualcomm. You've heard a lot of people and a lot of furus or gurus, fake gurus, whatever they are, talking about Qualcomm demand. I think Jim Cramer even stated something to that extent, off 9%. Yes, it had demand running up into earnings. It sold off yesterday, right? And then it had earnings after the bell. Earnings sucked, and Qualcomm is getting beaten up this morning from 129 off 10%. So it's got to be the 117 range. PayPal also disappointing earnings, disappointing guidance, off 8.67%. Now, if I believed one of these stocks would drop like 15% or pop back to flat, I would tell you and say, hey, you might be able to make some money on this type of play. But PayPal said that a bunch of their loans were bad. I'm still thinking along the lines of Affirm, buy now, pay later, that people are going to screw them on payments. Etsy warned of a terrible quarter three. The US dollar is spiking again. Here it is right here. Why does that concern me? Because I am in gold. The only thing I could get bullish on was gold. All right. And this is where gold looks like, and I was just getting crushed, but I have a pretty substantial position in some gold options. And I wish I had an extra week. If I had an extra week in my gold options going out till next Friday, I would say to myself, the dollar is going to settle back down around 102, probably, maybe even a little less in the next week, and gold will shoot up to $183, something like that. I only gave myself till Friday. I was like, I'm going to be right. What did I do yesterday? I entered too quickly, averaged down too quickly, and at certain points, the low on my option, I think, was like $30 per option. It went up to 41. Anybody else in their right mind would be green. You're in at 30. It goes up to 41. Everybody should be green. Me, my entry was so bad yesterday that I was still down $3 per contract. I ended up buying more at the end of the day. I'm going to talk about the SPY. I haven't said that yet, but we will talk about the SPY. SPY call, SPY put. That's an interesting strategy. So listen, I'm going to tell you where I think the SPY is going. Let me just finish up with the stock. So again, the only play I'm in right now is gold. I'm not loving my position, but I'm looking for the US dollar to go down. All right, so the SPY I mentioned earlier on, the first thing I mentioned today was, let me just go back to that posting, and I posted it on public Discord. If anybody wants, they can join our Discord at platform.com. All right, we have a public Discord. I made the posting on public Discord. Let me just get to the picture right here. All right, now Spot Gamma made this posting on Twitter. You may not be worried, but you may be worried, but the equity market is not. So he's telling you the market itself isn't worried, although us as individuals are like, oh shit, what's the market going to do today? I'm really scared. It could drop another, 1, 2, 3%. Not likely to happen. Today's SPX 0 days till expiration at the money straddle is $25 over an IV of 21.8%, which is relatively low. Then you look at tomorrow's 41.65 with an IV of 18.2. You would see the IVs up at like 50% if the market was extremely volatile, something like that, 44, 50, something like that. So it tells me, although psychologically, what would I see happen? The market's probably going to sell to open. Why? Because look at what happened yesterday. Then you have Europe, which is still, getting beaten up. So what's our market likely to do? Plus, we had a downgrade after hours the day before yesterday. And yesterday we saw shit. Meanwhile, I told you guys yesterday when the market was only off 0.5% pre-market, I said that the SPY, the SPX, the Qs, everything is likely to drop about 1 to 1.5%. Where did we close yesterday? Around 1.5%. That's why that 450 number was in play. Oh, look at that. Gold spiked back up. Thank goodness, because they were selling the shit out of gold. Now it's skyrocketing. So thank you, gold. What am I doing about my gold position? I decided if there was inflow and gold went up today, that no matter what, I would be holding till tomorrow because I'm looking to call a reversal. That's the problem with my trades. A lot of my trades are like, okay, I see the start of a reversal, and then if the market gets thrown up on, the reversal all of a sudden gets canceled and the market drops further. So rather than do that, I'd rather go with the trend. All right, so let's talk about the SPY and SPY ranges today. So what do I first do? The first thing I do is I pull up the dark pool levels. Let me add it to the stream so you guys can see it. Let me see if I can enlarge it a bit. Okay, so I pull up the dark pool levels. Let me go there myself, and I go, okay, 450, 60 cents. Yesterday it was $450 on 6 cents. So there are more levels in here, which is telling me it's more probably support. But as you'll see, if you break under that 449.24 level, probably where we are pre-market, let me just see where the SPY is sitting pre-market. It's kind of a ghost zone, which means there are smaller zones. All right, SPY pre-market down 0.22%, 449.06. So we're basically around this level right here. Understanding the next level down is right around 448. So would it surprise me if the market opened and we shot down to 448 and from 448 bounced higher right to 450? That's what I'm assuming is going to happen. We're going to shoot down. Why? Psychology. We still got downgraded. The whole market got downgraded. However, there are still earnings. There's still a lot at play. There are still institutions, hedge funds that must stay long all year round. So they're in the stock market. Their money is not on the sidelines. All right, so let's just say we bounce too higher. I would look for this next level to possibly reject before this ghost zone up here. So if the market is bullish at all, I would say I would really keep my eye on that 452 number. So 452, 450, and then 448. So every 2 points. That's probably what we're going to see today. All right. So now if I'm going to come up with my prediction, again, SPY is probably sitting pre-market 449.29 right now. So let's just say 449. Again, downside, we dropped to 448. We bounce higher to 450. Then we fluctuate within a point for a little bit. All right. Top side 452. If we break 452, I would be surprised. Same way on the way down. If we break 448, understand there are ghost zones in both areas. All right. So let's just get back to that real quick. So you understand the market could substantially drop or it could substantially get bought up. If we happen, I'm not necessarily talking about today. You'll have to see if these zones kind of move. This isn't so much of a ghost zone. It's 6 billion. And we still see these big zones up here. All right. And I spoke about 456. They unloaded a shit ton yesterday. And again, there was a dark pool level right around 450. That was around 4 billion. So that could be support. Even though we're under that, you could see the market drop right away because those looking to buy the market want the best entry. So they're letting it fall. And then again, they step in right at the 448 number. We push back to 450, hesitate around there for a while. That's kind of my belief process. Again, I don't think the market is going to drop. I think that we saw whatever we saw yesterday would be the worst out of the outcomes. It's the day after the downgrade. People have to process that, understanding as credit goes down, the cost to borrow money goes up, okay? As the US dollar goes up, it costs more money to invest in our market. There are so many accounts that are hedged and marginalized. So as that goes up, then as the market drops like it did yesterday, you're going to have margin calls that went out at 230. What does that mean? It means those on margin accounts need to deposit more money in their accounts to come up to the right, waiting so that their positions are covered. So if their positions went down, if their positions continue to go down today, what will happen? Margin call. What will a margin call do? Likely reciprocate or make the same thing happen tomorrow. So again, whatever happens today, I'm kind of looking for the same thing to close out the week. That's why I told you, if I see gold go up today, then I know my position in gold is going to be okay. And gold's fluctuating between 1936. I mean, I could share it. I could share it real quick. Why not? It's better not to share it right now. Why? Because let's go back to Discord and let's bring up the things that I look at to start the day. All right, first thing I want to do is look at the market net flow. See how the market ended. So I'll do market net flow. I'll look at the entire market. That means everything. I'll use a 3-day period. So I'm not just talking about yesterday, although yesterday will be the third part of my chart. I'm talking about 3 graphs. I'm also going to look at, we can look at the top flow. Okay. So let's go back and we'll look at, okay, here's your 3-day chart. Can you all see this with me? You can. Great. Okay. So let's just get that back there. 3-day chart. So we'll break it here. Say a day ended here, another day here, and we saw the start of yesterday. Okay. 3-day chart. So as we were going into yesterday, the market was still coming down from that 458 number. We saw that significant drop yesterday, and we saw a fade most of yesterday with volume lightening up towards the end. Premiums for puts, nothing. Of course, as the market dropped, we knew the market was going to drop harder. Why? Because we were still at 453 on open. Then we dropped to the 450 number. Well, actually 451, bounced up, and then dropped to that 450 number. We saw it twice. Right here once, right here once. Okay, so as I'm seeing that, as we're dropping, people are taking a chance, put premiums increasing, then it's going down. So some of the giving out, some are selling. Again, that's what we see. So if I want to be bullish today, I'm going to look for the net flow, for the put premiums to come across this way, coming down, for the call premiums to spike, and for the price to probably be in this range here. Again, showing support. Anything over 450 would show support to the next level, 452. Okay, so I'm really going to look at the net flow. Then I want to see what the top flow was yesterday. What were the most active positions? Why? Because this is telling me there's liquidity. If I get into any calls or puts for the SPY, Meta, MAR, Amazon, Snow, VIX, TSN, NVIDIA, Interface, Apple, Tesla, S&P 500, AMD, Microsoft, Netflix, whereas the spreads might be wider generally or usually with these stocks or ETFs, they're more narrow because those are the top bullish and bearish flows, most actively traded flows. All right. Then I'll look at the SPY. Why? Because we did the same. Actually, I'll look at the net flow for the Qs next. Let's look at a 3-day again. And why? Because Amazon and Apple have earnings today. I want to see how bearish or bullish the market is. We know that it should be bearish, but if we want to see if it flips around at all. So again, as the market dropped, the put premiums were going up, up, up. Then we saw a spike at the end of the day. So again, I'm going to look to see how we open. The fact that the call premiums drop below net zero, not surprising. The fact that we're at zero doesn't interest me yet in any of these. So again, this would be likely to continue. There'd likely be downward pressure at open on the Qs. That's a no-brainer. I would need to see the premiums for the call spike or the premiums for the put give up and see them back down. Like all of a sudden, if we saw a diagonal and it dropped to this level here, and then we saw this number as far as the volume, the momentum lessen a little. But right now, it's momentum strong. So let's look at the same thing. That was for the Qs. Let's look at it for the SPY. So let's look at net flow again for the SPY. And let's go 3 days again. And I go 3 days again, just to give us some clarity, some vision on it. You can go 5 days, you can go 7 days, you can go 15 days out. It's more about the moving average and showing the moving average. Again, so I was looking yesterday. The market decided to turn around yesterday afternoon, right? We saw call premiums for the SPY push higher. The puts dropped at the same time, which is right around here. You had some buying, and that quickly reversed. If you see where we ended the day, again, put premiums to the highest. So it's telling me the market should have gapped down overnight. Again, psychology, you have to think there has to be some reason for the market to turn around. Okay? I've got to assume the US dollar is probably spiking right now just because I got an alert about something. And let's see. Nope, dollar is dropping. Is everything dropping? Etsy, PayPal, SPY, 24, 44, 449, and 372.50. So again, yeah, I mean, I'm seeing downward pressure. Let's just get rid of this. What else did I want to look at? No, I don't want to see that. I like to look at what everybody else is looking at. Verizon, see if it really interests me. Buys and sells. So this is another thing. You can look at flow sum. So just because you see the put side here was pretty extensive yesterday, you have to understand that includes buys versus sells. More people were selling, okay? So if you saw a spike in puts, there's a good chance that they were selling these puts yesterday. So I might look at Verizon. Now, again, it doesn't really have to move all that much. It could stay flat if the market were dropping. Okay, those that are looking at a firm has some shorts at play. So if I was looking to enter some type of spec play today, and I thought the Qs might reverse, which I told you, I don't think they're going to in the morning. If they are in the afternoon, then that's when you might look for some type of pop, like in a stock like this, that's probably going to get forced down in the morning. Again, if you joined me yesterday morning, I spoke about a couple of stocks, bull plays and bear plays. My bullish plays, AMD on any dip. I mentioned Starbucks was number 2, and I mentioned Uber. Now, Uber, I was wrong on because Uber dipped and then went green. So I guess if you were an Uber, you wouldn't have got screwed. Starbucks went from 100 to 104. AMD did dip hard, rebounded, and then dipped even harder. So I'll give myself 2 victories, 1 loss on that. And the only bear stock I mentioned, which was down 4% pre-market yesterday, was Affirm. Got a little spike there, and then it dropped. I didn't get into any Affirm puts because I like Affirm calls when it finally bottoms. Let me just see if we got anything else. Earnings, Disney. Oh, yeah, Disney still has. See, this is crazy because Disney looked like it wanted to rebound yesterday 2 different times. And they were buying the stock, but the puts were rolling in. They were selling some calls and buying some puts, which is generally very bearish for a stock. So that's interesting. I wanted to see where Disney is. I made so many stocks up here yesterday. Let me just see where Disney is. Walt Disney. So, yeah, it's off a little. It was up pre-market. They did sell off at 8 o'clock when it started. One last thing I wanted to share, and I put this in public Discord. Of course, gold is dropping back down. That whole spike of $6 is gone. Sucks. All right, so Discord. Good thing the market doesn't open for another 40 minutes. I wanted to go to the public trading, and let me share this and make sure you guys can see this. Oh, you can. Beautiful. I'm doing it right so far. And going back there, about 50 new messages. Love showing her NEO positions for a couple of weeks ago. We teach a couple of lessons. What was the word I wanted to show? Okay, this is the reason I didn't think the markets would be that worried. I don't think we're going to see a significant drop. I think we'll find some support pretty early this morning. I'm just talking about the IV levels being relatively low compared to a volatile market. I mentioned this yesterday. Now, Riot ended up going up 5% before dropping. Now, here's the thing. So I wanted to show everybody. Let's blow this up. Okay, just because you see a ton of green on this side, what do you notice on the red side right here? It says buys versus selling. So the fact that most of the activity is calls, most of the activity were selling calls. So they were selling calls. And then Mara and Riot spiked out of the block, up 5%, up 2.5%. And then what happened? Gave back all the earnings and turned red. So the fact that you could see this, and again, it was more interesting on Riot because they were buying more of the calls on Riot. Here on Mara, they were selling more of the calls. So again, if I wanted to be bullish on one of them, I could be bullish on Riot. I could be bearish on Mara. I could play them at the same time, and I could probably make money off of the difference in the price movement. Yeah, I was showing it off how okay. Anyway, so we do have some public stuff. We have some public watch lists. We've got events. If you don't know how to use the flows and algos, we have the options flows command. Again, I'm not here trying to sell you on Discord. It's there, but these days you must use the flows and algorithms to find out if you're entering a good position or a bad position. Let's remember, last week I thought United Airlines was going to go up. The algorithms were telling me no. I said, okay, I'm finally even on that trade. You know what? I'm going to hold it overnight. And I spoke about it the next morning, and I got rocked on that stock play. And it made me play some 0 days till expiration SPY options to make back my money on that day. I think that was Monday. So again, listen, everybody, have a safe day. I'm here by myself. Got to shoot a Discord video. Got to talk about what my plays could be for today. I'm looking at 2 stocks in particular. Again, I'm not entering to start the day. I'm going to watch the patterns develop. I don't care if you enter at 2 p.m., 3 p.m., you're busy all day. You want to be a winning trader. Anybody that says, oh, I'm buying, puts on this at open, whatever it is, or calls on open, it's just silly. It's silly. It's more risk. Okay. You're trying to avoid risk. You're trying to have stress-free trading days. That's what I talk about. Scalping. You're in at a low point. You're out 20% higher. You're not looking for those home runs. You're looking for those base hits. All right. I appreciate everybody joining me. Thumbs up if you like what I do. And please join me tomorrow morning for Lotto